This week in Boomtown, sounds of construction and traffic growing in West Columbus. But can the roads handle the boom as new apartment complexes go up?
When you moved here in 1990, did you ever expect this would be a problem?
How Columbus plans to deal with hundreds of people moving to this side of town in the months ahead. Plus, Central Ohio builds big. We know what's coming, but do we really know how Central Ohio leaders and developers, along with major companies, will reshape our landscape? You'll hear what some of them had to say this week about keeping up with future growth. And paying more for your goods. The sales tax increased this week in Franklin County and other areas that use COTA bus service. So where is that extra money going and for what? Central Ohio certainly is booming. We all see it and we all can feel it. Whether it's traffic, new homes, or crowded schools, well, leaders in this region will have to figure out how to embrace nearly 1 million more people in the coming decades. So here's what we uncovered this week in Boomtown. Thanks so much for joining us for This Week in Boomtown. I'm Angela Ann. All right, let's start with some headlines today. We all know Central Ohio is growing, but this week we learned so are the number of jobs. In fact, Ohio gained more jobs than any other state in February this year. The U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics announced more than 23,000 jobs to be specific, and that is the biggest jump since July 2022. Leaders in Ohio say that's great news for our state. Ohio Chamber President and CEO Steve Stivers says, in part, more jobs means a stronger economy and better opportunities for all Ohioans. Well, this week, one of Columbus's oldest hotels is coming under new management. The Westin Hotel opened in 1896 as a Great Southern Hotel on South High Street, right by the courthouse. It is a cultural cornerstone for the capital city today. Well, this week, Whitestone Companies announced it bought the hotel in a cash deal with plans to restore that historic building. Absolutely beautiful. And take a look at this new hub. It's going up in Upper Arlington. The city holding a grand opening celebration of the new Bob Crane Community Center. And this place is huge, 165,000 square feet. UA city leaders say this will be the brand new home for fitness and sports, gatherings, and special programming. And what makes this so monumental is that planning for this community center dates back more than 40 years. Well, no matter where you live in Central Ohio, you'll likely see apartments of some kind going up anywhere there's enough space. It's really part of a broader plan to address the housing crisis. And this week, 10 TV's Colin Dorsey went to the west side to see why one of the latest projects in Columbus isn't exactly welcomed by new neighbors.
If you've spent any time along Treview Road recently, you know the construction sounds never stop. These apartments almost ready to move people in. And these apartments still have a way to go. And if you look over here, bet you'd never guess what's set to go there. You're right, more apartments.
We have the woods, we have the creek.
For Jeanette Bird, this is her little piece of peace.
When you moved here in 1990, did you ever expect this would be a problem?
We had hoped not. But we expected something down the road.
Now the 18 wooded acres that butt up to her and her husband's home is being eyed for this. 280 apartments across 8 buildings. The proposal from Upland Development also includes space for a restaurant and outdoor patio. That's the latest project near a neighborhood that's watched development pop up for more than a decade.
So where you see the white trees,
Yep.
that's where it's, yeah.
Bird says she's not against development, but the new apartments are making things too crowded along Treview Road.
Going to work every day, it takes me a while to get out of my subdivision, just making a right-hand turn.
I reached out to the city's development department about the concern of too much traffic on Treview. I was told just 3 hours ago, expanding housing supply is a top priority, but roads are looked at to ensure they can support current and future growth. Another worry? fire protection.
It's a concern we've consistently raised for a number of years.
The area lacks a fire station close by. This one, Columbus Station 26, is almost 4 miles away, meaning added minutes when seconds count. It's something Fire Union President Steve Stein says needs to be addressed.
This city is enjoying tremendous growth. With that comes the demand to meet the need for services and critical services.
And that was Colin Dorsey reporting. So this week, some new affordable housing was also announced for the Linden neighborhood. This is in North Columbus. The Central Ohio Community Land Trust calls it the Core Place Project. And we're talking 14 single-family homes set to cost just under $200,000. Now, Core Place should open by the end of next spring, so we're talking 2026, and is right next to the city's Green Line corridor. Take a look at this map here. We showed you that corridor before. It is a 7-mile stretch right along an abandoned rail corridor that goes through these 3 neighborhoods: South Linden, North Linden, and Northland. Now, the Green Line will help connect 4 community centers, also 19 schools, and 3,000 local businesses. The construction will start next year. And if you are looking to buy a home, well, you can tap into resources to help get the money for that first down payment. Just listen to this.
And I recently saw a story from one of our teams where this borrower qualified for close to $40,000 in down payment assistance from the Home Port Grant, our Fifth Third program, Equity DPA program. So that stacking of those programs can really change the trajectory of someone's ability, right?
And there are many resources in the Columbus area. You may qualify for a $25,000 grant through the Rise Up program. That money is for Franklin County buyers and can be used on a down payment or even closing costs. Columbus also has its own down payment assistance program that offers a forgivable loan of up to $15,000 to qualified buyers. Well, it is not just housing that we're talking about here. This week, we learned Mount Carmel's newest hospital will open on April 22nd. Earlier this year, Mount Carmel walked us through construction of that campus. It is a $250 million investment. It offers everything from primary care to orthopedics, surgical services, and much more.
Size is very challenging in a room when you have the patient, their family members, the physician.
And this is just the latest expansion for the Mount Carmel system as it works to meet the health needs of a growing Central Ohio. It also opened a new emergency department at its New Albany campus. This was back in October. And that's not the only hospital system expanding to meet the population boom. We're seeing them all across town. For example, Ohio Health announcing plans for a new comprehensive outpatient cancer center right near Riverside Methodist Hospital. There's also the Ohio State University Wexner Medical Center's new inpatient tower that is well underway, and it's huge, 1.9 million square feet of space, and this will add more than 800 private rooms, 50 elevators at 26 stories high. Certainly a tower indeed. Nationwide Children's Hospital also planning to build a new inpatient tower as well. This will include a new orthopedics and a surgery center, along with space for research. Curious in this room, right? How many of us are transplants, right? You weren't born or raised here. Just like look at the hands up in this room, right? These are the folks that. So that's the question I asked a room full of people this week at the Columbus Metropolitan Club luncheon. The topic of conversation here, Central Ohio builds big. And the message we heard was clear. I'll quote one of the speakers. Central Ohio is growing, and with that growth comes challenges, but also great opportunities.
We have planned. We have gotten the most extraordinary, the best professionals in the world to help us plan for this terminal.
And that there's Joe Nardoni. He's the president and CEO of the Columbus Regional Airport Authority. He's overseeing a $2 billion project for a new terminal at CMH. And Nardoni says the success of projects that big can only come true with collaboration.
So, Angela, we start with transparency, and we start by offering ourselves to be better. So how can we serve others? I can tell you a $2 billion project like our terminal is very complicated. It takes a lot. We've had great experiences with the community. We have great experiences with our business partners. I can tell you, for those of you in the construction industry, Amit Ghosh from the city of Columbus, we were very concerned about our building permit. The city delivered our building permit early. So those are the kinds of things that make a huge difference on a project. The Andrew project is a thrill for all of us to be even a small part of it. We're so excited about that. So it's a commitment. It's making sure that we have an urgency to serve and to continue completing and executing on our goals to help others succeed.
And we also heard from the person who is leading Anderill's newest project in Pickaway County. It's called Arsenal One. And this is really the first time we're learning more about the timeline of what's to come ever since the company dropped that announcement back in January. So the weapons manufacturer based in Southern California says it's really been ramping up for this project since late last year.
Arsenal One for us is a pretty large investment. Just give you like a little bit of lay of land on how large of an investment this is. Before Arsenal One, we had about 1 million square feet total globally. We had about 5,000 employees. Arsenal One is going to be 4,000 employees, 5 million square feet. And so for us, it was really important to find a home that had direct flights to Los Angeles. But more generally than that, it was really strong labor force, really strong partnership. And so the growth that we're anticipating here is really going to come from partnership in the community, ODOT, working with Pickaway County, working with Jobs Ohio crew. And the investment is really just getting started. We're planning on ramping up our first initial hires this quarter. We're going to build or start hiring about 50 to 100 people to start, growing to about 300 through the next year. And then year over year, we're going to build through the next decade to about 4,000 people, and it's going to require a ton of investment.
It is very clear that Columbus is growing. Statewide study we had shows that Columbus, Central Ohio is one of the areas that is absolutely growing very fast, and we've got a lot of congestion and a lot of issues. Where there's a tremendous amount of...
The words from ODOT Director there, Pamela Borton, not mincing words there at all, saying that the State Transportation Agency is working closely with companies like Andurill as they make plans to move to Central Ohio. She also says the roads that we are building now will be challenged with how fast we're growing, but an even bigger challenge, she says, is funding.
So the challenges are going to be real, and looking at alternative ways to fund the Department of Transportation and our highways and our roads. As I said, it's across the country. We are working with the Federal Highway Administration. ODOT itself, it recognizes this, and we're doing things that we can to try to deflate some of that inflation with our project delivery, our project development, our timelines. We're looking at ways to make technology to make your surfaces, concrete and asphalt, last longer. But we're also talking to the feds to see if they can give us more flexibility for core funding, not tie our hands, so we have a better way to use it, and to reduce regulations, which cause delay and cause us more costs.
A lot at play there, but perhaps the most unique part of this week's conversation at the luncheon is hearing from Turner Construction, a worldwide business. And Matt Coons, who's the vice president for Turner's Columbus business unit, is leading that renovation of the Ohio Fairgrounds. That is a $400 million project.
What it's turning into is bigger than what anyone ever expected. And whether it's the new venue spaces, probably the most important thing and the most fun thing is the carousel. 20 years in the business, I've never been involved in building a carousel or sitting with the governor and the governor's team choosing the animals that we're building for the carousel. So a lot of surprises on the way, but it involves a prehistoric fish that was in Ohio and a very plump pig with a ribbon. We have supply chain that focuses just on that equipment. You got to think outside of the box. And I think the advantage is that we can take these clients' ideas and bring them to Columbus. And 10 years ago, you would say, I'm from Columbus, and they'd say, Georgia? Or where? Now it's Columbus, Ohio, and it's the hot spot. And I think we're also seeing these other manufacturers set up shop here too, but we're a bioscience community, we're pharmaceutical, we're manufacturing, we're so diverse, and I think that gives us the ability where almost people are looking at us, Angela, and saying, why can't we do what they're doing? So there's a lot of shared continuity between the vast majority of the U.S. and Columbus right now.
So this week, the sales tax in Franklin County and parts of Fairfield, Delaware, and Licking counties increased by 0.5%. It's for areas all serviced by CODA, part of the Lincoln initiative that voters passed last November. Now that money will go towards several new bus rapid lines and sidewalks, bike paths, even more. Colin Dorsey joins us again to explain how much more this will cost you and where that money's going.
The biggest place you might notice this increase is when you go to buy a car. Let's say this is a $40,000 car. Until yesterday, you were going to pay about an extra $3,000 to cover the 7.5% sales tax in Franklin County. Now, that extra 0.5% will run you another $200 before you can get it off the lot.
It's all an attempt to improve these buses in Central Ohio. LinkUs promises to add 14 new or improved transit lines and also add bus rapid transit. It's a concept new to Central Ohio, but not Indianapolis.
I think it helps get from place to place a lot faster, a lot easier.
In March, I went to the city to see how their bus rapid transit system is working 6 years after rolling out the first line.
We go, we set our speed. We don't have to slow down when a slow car gets in front of us. We don't have to change lanes. So I think you feel the efficiency when you're on it.
Bus Rapid Transit creates dedicated bus lines in an effort to make the system as close to light rail as possible without the added infrastructure or expense. It's not just for Franklin County. Any part of any county with CODA service is getting this 0.5% hike. Here's a look at what each of the affected areas in these counties will now pay on things like clothes, restaurant meals, and furniture. If you're a part of the county that doesn't have CODA service, you won't see this increase. There's good news, though. There are certain items that are sales tax exempt in the state. That includes your prescription medications, groceries, and utility bills.
And you may think to get around paying that extra sales tax, you can just leave one of the affected counties. Not so fast. State law says you've got to pay the sales tax where you register the car. Colin Dorsey, 10 TV News.
A little bit of a bummer there, but thank you, Colin, for that information. All right, so this week we received a question from one of our viewers. Thank you. The question was about the number of people who may move here. Experts have long been saying that we will grow by 1 million more people in the next 25 years. The latest census data that came out in March shows some of those people are already here. So while the numbers seem to fluctuate, experts still predict that at the end of it all, roughly 3 million people will eventually call Central Ohio home by the year 2050. We do want to hear from you if you have questions related to Central Ohio's rapid growth, or maybe you want us to look into something for you. Just text us your questions and concerns at this number, 614-460-3345. And if you're watching this on our YouTube channel, thank you. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. And you can always drop your question right there in the comment section, and we'll do our best to respond. It's been so nice having you tune in to hear about the growth here in Central Ohio. I'm Angela Ann, and thanks so much for watching This Week in Boomtown.